Good morning, Visordown. Welcome to Coventry. Today it is, well, pretty grey and shitty to be honest with you, so I hope that clears up, but it's about 5 o'clock in the morning. Got a Tuono 660 factory which is fully loaded with fuel, and we are off to one of the UK's best circuits for riding a motorcycle around, which is of course the mighty Cadwell Park. We're off to the Aprilia track day, so it's a 2-day track day full of Aprilia riders on Aprilia bikes taken to the Cadwell Park circuit. They sorted me out this little beastie to go along on to see what we think of it, and I think this is right up the strata of this particular motorcycle because Cadwell it's fast, but it's tight and twisty, it's narrow, and I think it's perfectly suited to the remit that the little Tuono 660 factory has got. So this bike has got slightly more power than the standard Tuono 660. Got a quick shifter fitted to it as well. It's also got some different changes in the actual modes within the ECU of the bike. And that's pretty much the same. It's not like the V4 where you get the raft of updates and upgrades over and above the standard Tuono. But still, I think it's going to be a cracking day out. Like I said, it's about 5 o'clock. I've got to be there for 8:40. I think they've got a rider briefing at 8:40. Going for a slightly different style of video today. I'm going to be vlogging as I go along and see how that turns out. But other than that, I will see you guys when I get to Cadwell. Ciao. So while I'm getting to grips with the Tuono around the lovely Cadwell Park circuit, I thought I'd take a moment just to go over the changes from this model over and above the standard Tuono 660. So the main point is that it's got a little bit more power from the 659cc parallel twin-cylinder engine, meaning the factory puts out a claimed 100 bhp, which is around 6 more than the stock bike. Another change is the inclusion of an IMU, exactly the same as on the RS 660. And that provides this bike with lean sensitive traction control and ABS. The rest of the Tuono 660's rider aids remain the same, meaning that you've also got wheelie control, engine braking control, cruise control and 3 throttle maps. And as it now has an IMU, the Tuono 660 factory also gains cornering headlights, an addition that we think is a first in the middleweight naked category. The final piece of the puzzle on the electronics front is an up and down shifter and blipper, allowing for clutchless up and down gear shifts. To make the factory a little bit of a sharper proposition on the road or the track, Aprilia have graced the new bike with fully adjustable suspension front and rear, with K-arbor forks and a Sachs rear shock absorber. It also gains a Trick lithium battery, shaving 2 kg off the curb weight and bringing the factory version in at 181 kg. So, a little bit rushed, got to Cadwell Park, hurried through the rider meeting, pre-briefing, whatever you want to call it, down at the clubhouse, and we have just done session 1 on the little Tuono 660. First and foremost, I've not been to Cadwell Park for around about 5 years, and the last time I came to Cadwell Park was on a customer track day for an insurance company I was riding, a Yamaha Tracer 700, a completely different bike, not really the ideal thing to be taking on a track. Nonetheless, I know which way it goes, just figuring out all of the braking markers and what gear I need to be in on the little Tuono. The reason that I'm riding this here in the UK is because we did get invited to Misano earlier on this year to go and ride it over there at the Aprilia All-Star weekend at the circuit. We had a bit of a technical issue with the bike that I was riding in that the quick shifter was malfunctioning, and basically I only really got 1 session on the bike, and it was curtailed because of this technical problem. So that's why we're here at Cadwell. We're having another go at it, and happy to report that so far so good. The quick shifter on this has performed faultlessly, and riding it here has reaffirmed what I learned at Misano, is that the actual chassis, suspension, all the important bits of the motorcycle on this thing are brilliant for the road, and for the track it's capable. I mean, I was out there and overtaking people on RS V4s and Tuono V4s, some like pretty powerful stuff, probably double the horsepower of this thing. But round Cadwell, because it's quite twisty and because the brakes on this are really quite good, you can do people on the brakes especially into the downhill left-hander just before the bus stop chicane. So first session, a little bit slow and steady. Unfortunately, my little Racebox data logger there shat itself, so I haven't got any lap times for that one, but we'll see. There we go, we've got a 20-minute break, going to go for a pee, get a coffee, and then we'll be out again for session 2. With the battery of my camera draining quickly and the memory card really filling up, I only managed to capture a few sessions out riding on the track at Cadwell. As my pace got quicker over the course of the day, I was continually winding back the Tuono's electronic assistance until there was basically very little there. The traction control, even in its lowest setting, was intervening in some of the faster corners like Charlie's too, pushing me to turn it off altogether. And the ABS was also cutting in intrusively on the drop down into Mansfield, which is the slow left-hander just before the mountain. Cutting the electronics out of the picture allowed me to get more from the bike and, more importantly, improve my lap time to the tune of around 7 seconds over the course of the day. So there we go, session 2 was a lot faster than the first session, and I wasn't getting stuck in the middle of the pack again like I did in the first session, so I got myself right to the front of the queue when they called our group down to the holding area. Went out and there were like 3 guys in front of me and I overtook them on the first lap, and then I think I did 7 laps. There was a flurry of rain that came across the track and I'm not chucking Aprilia's Tuono 660 down the road at Cadwell in front of, you know, a couple of hundred motorcycle fans. So ditched it into the pits. So I think I did 7 laps actually, and nobody came past me until the 6th lap, which I was quite happy with. Up until the rain, that was much better. So I need some refreshments. I'm going to go and grab myself a sandwich, and then we've got session 3 going out in about 45 minutes time. So I will see you then. So there we have it, the end of our track day on the little Tuono 660 factory from Aprilia. We've done about 7 sessions. It's been a properly long day. There's only really been a couple of red flags, so I've had loads and loads and loads of track time with it. In that time, I've not just ridden it as it was. I've gone into the actual bespoke time attack mode where you can adjust everything, and I have fiddled and fettled with the settings quite a bit. Most of what I've been doing is just taking away the electronic assistance, and that's not because it's not up to scratch or it's not good. It was just as I was getting faster and faster, felt like it was holding me back more and more. At the end of the day, I was starting at just below 2 minutes, my lap times, and looking back at the GoPro, I think I managed a 1:52, judging by the time on the actual film, which I think is a pretty sizable chunk out of a lap time in one day. Bearing in mind, this is really the first proper time that I've been to Cadwell Park on a bike. I came here once just after I passed my bike test, and I was riding a Yamaha Tracer 700, so a completely different experience. A couple of gripes that I've got with this thing. The gearbox on this has performed almost faultlessly on the track today. There have been a couple of occasions coming into the S's here, the tight sort of slow first gear S's, where it's been a bit belligerent going into first gear and I've had to just blip the throttle a bit to get it to go in. The other thing that's slightly annoying is you've got so many electronics on this thing, yet the wheelie control is just on or off. There's no sort of midpoint, or you can't adjust it by 5 steps or 8 steps. I just wish they'd maybe just put a little bit more adjustability into the wheelie control, as they did with everything else, including the engine braking, the throttle mapping, and the ABS. They're all like multi-level. You can change them, and the wheelie control is just either on or off, which is a little bit annoying. Other than that, this has been a really enjoyable day on track. I rode this thing at Mazzano, and it wasn't slow, but it kind of felt slow. It's so wide and so fast, and there were V4s and Tuonos, and they were just gobbling you up down the long back straight. But here it was role reversal, because this thing is so quick through the corners. You could catch all the big 1100cc V4s. You catch them, and then if you could overtake them cleanly and get away from them, you'd just have enough of a gap where they wouldn't actually be able to pass you down the next straight. It's been a lot of fun. Thank you very much, Aprilia. This has not just been a track day on your bike, it's been a full UK road test as well, and I've had the thing for 2 weeks and it has been thoroughly enjoyable. There will be a full review of this bike going up on Visordown.com, and if you've liked this video, please don't forget to drop a comment and hit like and subscribe so that you can stay up to date with all of Visordown's latest videos. For all the latest news, reviews and motorcycle features, get yourself over to Visordown.com. Cheers folks.